It started without a single warning, zero breaking news alerts, zero flashing headlines, just a ghost quiet digital update on a random morning. The International Skating Union quietly refreshed the competitor roster for the 2026 World Figure Skating Championships in Prague. Pure bureaucratic housekeeping, the kind of mundane web refresh that happens constantly. Coaches glance at it, bureaucrats skim it, hardcore fans refresh it obsessively. 99% of the world misses it entirely. But this time, someone caught the slip, because a name cemented on that screen 24 hours earlier had vanished into thin air. Alysa Liu, the undisputed queen of the ice, the reigning world champion, and fresh Olympic gold medalist out of Milan, erased. Crickets from Team USA, not a peep from her camp, absolute radio silence on her socials. The only proof was the revamped roster, leaving just 3 American women holding tickets to the Czech Republic. Amber Glenn, Isabel Levito, and second-string alternate Sarah Everhart. Getting the nod after Brady Tennell passed on the bid. In seconds, the internet caught fire, forums melted down, screen grabs flooded X, panic threads hijacked Reddit, and Discord servers absolutely exploded. Is this a joke? That was the initial reaction. Everyone figured it was just a massive technical glitch. Skaters pull out constantly, sure, but there's always a pro-spin, a blown knee, a twisted ankle, a formal apology. Here, a total blackout. And in this ruthless arena, a blackout breeds panic, because Alysa Liu wasn't merely a face in the crowd. She owned the crown. She was the title defender. Just weeks prior, on February 19th in Milan, she skated out of her mind, capturing not 1 but 2 Olympic gold medals. In under 30 days, she evolved from an elite athlete into an absolute phenomenon. A worldwide obsession. That's exactly why the Ghost Act felt so deeply wrong. You done and abandon your throne. Gold medalists show up to conquer worlds. That is the heartbeat of this game. Winter Games in February. Global showdown in March. Yet, completely out of nowhere, Liu pulled the plug. The world demanded answers. Conspiracy theories spiraled. Was her body broken? Was her mind totally fried from the grueling season? But the hardcore insiders, the ones who truly breathe the sport, they didn't even blink. Because if you peel back the layers of those post-Milan weeks, the puzzle pieces snap perfectly into place. You just have to hit rewind, take it back to the exact night she secured gold. The second those skates left the Italian ice, her reality didn't hit the brakes. It hit warp speed. And it was nothing like the fairy tale you'd picture. For 20 agonizing days post-podium, the grind was relentless, hopping time zones, endless camera flashes, high-stakes interviews, and back-to-back studio hits. Every major network and glossy magazine demanded a slice of the champion. Yet buried beneath that chaotic circus, a shadow narrative was unfolding, something subtle that flew straight over the public's head. Red flags. Throwaway remarks during press junkets, micro-expressions that looked completely innocent then, but glaringly obvious in hindsight. They hit different now. Breadcrumbs proving the heaviest move of her career wouldn't require a pair of skates. It would go down miles away from any arena. To figure out why she vanished from the European roster, you have to dissect the reality of her last 21 days, because her daily routine was to a training camp for Worlds, not by a long shot. It looked like a brutal collision course with destiny, and for a 20-year-old kid thrust into legendary status overnight, the pressure cooker was primed to burst. However, the ultimate turning point did strike at a training facility. It happened in an airport terminal, and when she dropped a cryptic post about it online, the masses finally clued in. This withdrawal wasn't about the sport. It was deeply, fiercely personal. Hey, if you're hooked on this breakdown, drop your city in the comments right now. I love tracking where you guys are tuning in from. Anyway, the plot thickens mere hours after her flight back from Europe touched down, because the gauntlet awaiting her back on American soil holds all the answers. Leaving the chaos of the Italian games behind, her exit was strangely tranquil. Zero private jets, zero Hollywood entourages, just a standard commercial Delta route bound for the West Coast. Word is, the cabin crew bumped her up the second they recognized the face behind the gold. They outright refused to let a newly minted national hero rough it in coach. A fleeting, deeply human touch of normalcy. For a brief window at 30,000 feet, time stood still. She crashed hard, but once those wheels hit the tarmac in the Bay Area, her first stop shocked everyone. She bypassed the flashy studios and the swarming press corps. She hit up a local joint, a hole-in-the-wall spot in Alameda, where she dug into a slice of tiramisu and swore to the chef it was the greatest thing she'd ever eaten. Picture a normal 20-year-old kid kicking back after a massive win. good food, surrounded by family, just chilling out with her brothers. Then reality hit because capturing Olympic gold sets off a chain reaction you cannot stop. The hype engine roared to life almost instantly. Alysa Liu saw her daily planner explode at a speed that would break veteran pros. Breakfast broadcasts, late-night catches, the Today Show banging on the door. Fallen needed a piece of the action. Channels that previously ignored ice skating were suddenly begging for a microphone drop. Sabi's News, NBC News, Action News, and Espen lined up back-to-back. Then came the glossy prints, with Teen Vogue demanding the front page. Rolling Stone locked down a Manhattan sit-down. She was drowning in flashing cameras, media circuits, speaking gigs, podcast mics, and stage lights. Picture her tucked away inside an exclusive Manhattan lounge right in the middle of a high-fashion shoot where some gourmet chef is handing her custom Lucky Charms cookies because a Prague squad dug into her craving habits. Sure, it felt magical and stroked the ego, but it was absolutely brutal. For almost 20 consecutive days, Alysa Liu was omnipresent, bouncing from set to set, waking up in the Big Apple, going to sleep on the West Coast, endless handshakes, flashing bulbs, and relentless interrogations. Now, scrutinize that calendar for a second, and a massive red flag pops up. Amidst this media circus, she was officially on the clock to train for the World Championships. Here is where the plot thickens. Getting ready for Worlds is not a side hustle you jam between commercial breaks. Defending a global crown demands blood, sweat, and absolute focus, full routine drills, locking down those jumps, brutal physical conditioning. It requires endless hours cutting the ice, not lounging in luxury suites or kicking back in 30 rock green rooms or sprinting through airport terminals. Die-hard skating experts started whispering about this the second the Winter Games wrapped up. The schedule was a pure meat grinder. The Olympic curtain dropped on February 21st. Prague's World Championship kicked off March 24th. Exactly 31 days. That is your entire breathing room. Top-tier competitors vanish in the rink for those 31 days, polishing every move and recovering that lost stamina. Except Alysa Liu was living a completely different script. She transformed from competitor to global icon in a heartbeat, watching her Instagram metrics detonate. Millions of fresh eyes locked onto her profile in mere weeks. Corporate sponsors drooled over deals. Reporters begged for exclusives. And out of nowhere, the disciplined kid who trained in the shadows for ultimate glory was violently thrust into an alien universe. A chaotic realm built on blinding flashes, rolling film, and an itinerary that refused to breathe. Throw a 20-year-old rookie into that kind of spotlight, and the pressure cooker is guaranteed to redline. Yet fame alone does not justify vanishing from the Prague roster. The true turning point hit just days later. It did not go down on live TV or inside a posh studio. The tipping point occurred in a completely mundane spot, a generic airport terminal. Whatever triggered her was severe enough to force Alysa Liu to break her silence and broadcast it to the world. A lightning-fast Instagram story. Her phrasing was unapologetically blunt, and her supporters instantly felt a chilling shift in her vibe. The joy was dead, replaced by pure anxiety. The post dropped during the graveyard shift. No pass spin, no official memo, just raw social media text. Alysa Liu had just touched down on the tarmac, surviving yet another exhausting flight, likely arriving for one more talking head gig, another wave to the crowd on her endless promotional crusade. Her quick update instantly hijacked the entire narrative. She detailed stepping off that plane, only to be met by a mob stationed at the gates, flashing lenses, aggressive autograph hunters, and fanatics swarming her personal space. Sure, that comes with the territory when you wear gold. But her follow-up sentence flipped the script completely. She revealed a stranger tracked her movements, not just passing by, but hunting her step by step to her vehicle. Her phrasing was stripped down and raw. They chased me to my car. Then she dropped a line that sounded less like a vent and more like a desperate plea. Please stay away from me, boom. End of story. Zero theatrics. No massive essay. Just a chilling warning that boundaries were shattered. That was the ultimate wake-up call for her fanbase, proving this hyperfame was terrifyingly real. Digital clout is just an illusion. 7 million followers, 8 million followers. Those are fake metrics on a glowing screen. Having an unknown threat sprint after you through an airport garage. That is a nightmare. It crosses into the physical world. It invades your space. And for a girl raised inside an arena where every single micro movement is perfectly rehearsed, that level of street-level chaos is enough to break anyone's mental armor. add fuel to the fire by digging into Alysa Liu's past. This was not her rookie experience pulling the ripcord on her career. Back when she was just 16 years old, she walked away from the ice entirely. Her reasoning back then dropped jaws across the industry. She confessed the game turned into a heavy, suffocating anchor. She openly admitted she was a passenger in her own life, stripped of control over her calendar, choices, and personal image. She bluntly stated her mental stability was destroyed. Direct quote. For 2 solid years, she completely vanished from the battlefield. Stepping back onto the ice in 2024 wasn't a given. It came with an absolute ultimatum. Total authority. She engineered her entire professional revival strictly by her own playbook, dictating the soundtrack, dominating the practice calendar, and handpicking her inner circle. Insiders whispered that she refused to let the rink become another prison. The second the pressure started suffocating her, she was fully prepared to pull the plug and walk. She didn't hide this radical mindset from the press either. And for a fleeting moment, this bold new blueprint was an absolute masterstroke. Gliding with pure liberation and zero visible stress, she shocked the globe by pulling off the unthinkable. She captured Olympic gold, make that double gold, securing the absolute pinnacle of figure skating. Yet, unprecedented glory breeds a vicious byproduct, a crushing avalanche of hyperfocus. In a flash, the very girl who painstakingly curated a drama-free sanctuary found herself trapped under the blazing heat of the world's microscope. Relentless press junkets, talk show circuits, mob scenes at baggage claims, millions of eyes dissecting every breath. Amidst that suffocating media circus, a massive, unresolved shadow loomed over her. The impending World Championships. Was she booking a ticket to Prague? Alysa tackled the elephant in the room during a sit-down, dropping a massive hint. With late March fast approaching, she frankly admitted that stepping onto that international ice was still a coin toss. Sure, the desire to chase another title burned inside her, but she quickly pivoted to a glaring roadblock. A massive jig looming in April. The legendary Stars on Ice spectacle, a grueling nationwide road trip featuring the most elite athletes in the country. Playing back that audio today, you don't hear a diva dodging work. You hear a profoundly calculated strategist. This was merely a young woman meticulously calculating how to survive the next 6 weeks of a completely upended reality. Juggling intense training camps, red carpets, endless flights, and physical recovery meant a breaking was inevitable. Ultimately, a single definitive move wiped the slate clean. It wasn't a snap judgment, though rewinding the tape reveals a breadcrumb trail of subtle red flags that went completely under the radar. These quiet warnings proved Alysa was rigidly sticking to her ultimate vow, fiercely honoring her own breaking point. Long before she officially pulled the plug on Prague, the public was already drowning in her whirlwind trajectory, blinded by a flawlessly polished facade, 2 shimmering Olympic medals, a massive digital empire, relentless corporate sponsorships, and daily primetime broadcast offers. She appeared totally invincible, yet the brutal reality of professional athletics painted a significantly darker picture. Figure skating calendars are notorious meat grinders. Once the Winter Games wrap in February, worlds crash the party barely 30 days later. A violently quick pivot rarely seen in pro sports. Most competitors burn those 4 agonizing weeks doing nothing but surviving, grueling physical therapy, and relentless drill work. 0 flights, 0 hype, just brutal hours at the rink ensuring routines remain flawless and landing mechanics stay razor sharp. You have to claw back every ounce of endurance drained by the crushing gravity of the games. Yet, Alysa's trajectory was drastically veering off script. Rather than going dark for 3 weeks of hardcore conditioning, she was running the chaotic, high-stakes gauntlet of an A-list superstar. Bouncing between major network studios, magazine shoots, and coastal press tours, industry veterans began whispering a brutal, unspoken truth. Prague was likely a ghost mission from the start, not due to a lack of talent, but because the brutal logistics made it utterly impossible. The Olympic flame extinguished on February 21st, with global practice sessions kicking off near March 22nd. She had exactly 31 days. That was the entire runway. Yet in that 31-day sprint, she crammed in a lifetime's worth of hustle that most pros stretch out over 12 long months. She had been swallowed whole by the unforgiving, hypercharged engine of international stardom. As one digital strategist brutally noted online, absolutely no one forecasted the nuclear blast of hype following her ultimate triumph. Over mere weeks, her online footprint skyrocketed past the million-follower mark, unlocking an insane vault of cash grab potential. Blue-chip sponsorships, massive promotional deals, and primetime spots. The kind of lightning-in-a-bottle windfalls that rarely strike twice. For a 20-year-old who had practically competed for pennies her whole life, this sudden cash flow was an absolute game changer. Striking while the iron was scorching hot wasn't just smart business, it was survival. That lucrative doorway was wide open, but the clock was ticking down fast. Still, chalking this up to pure greed or clout chasing completely misses the mark. If this were just a cash grab, the energy behind closed doors would have been undeniably toxic. Instead, when rinkside veterans unpack her brutal exit from the global stage, they always circle back to one defining trait: ruthless discipline. It's the ultimate buzzword surrounding her camp. Ever since her 2024 resurrection, she has violently enforced a single core doctrine. Her intuition dictates everything. When the grind threatens to break her, she hits the brakes. When the calendar becomes a chokehold, she brutally cuts the fat. She once laughed off the idea of a manager micromanaging trivial details, like dictating her haircuts or wardrobe, warning she'd pack her bags and vanish instantly. For your average competitor, that's just tough talk for the cameras. But for Alysa, those boundaries became the impenetrable armor shielding her spectacular comeback run. She completely hacked the system, prioritizing personal peace, her inner circle, and total autonomy. So when winning, the gold threatened to drag her back into the very nightmare that originally broke her. A kill switch was quietly flipped. No massive meltdown, no press conference tears, just a silent, lethal pivot. And the moment she made that call, the dominoes fell exactly as planned. Just like that, her name vanished from the roster. Sarah Everhart got the ultimate call-up to join the United States squad, headed to Prague, linking up with Amber Glenn and Isabel Levito. They were primed to carry the stars and stripes, leaving the global stage to spin on without the undisputed queen of the rink defending her crown. Yet, here is the kicker: behind closed doors, absolutely nobody in the figure skating community is hitting the panic button over Alysa Liu bowing out. Actually, insiders view this as the ultimate proof that her massive return is playing out flawlessly. The teenager who hung up her skates at 16 felt utterly helpless back then. Fast forward to today, and the 20-year-old phenom pulling out of worlds is sitting firmly in the driver's seat. That newfound power is poised to shape her entire legacy. So, where do we go from here? In exactly 3 weeks, the marquee event in Prague is going to kick off without a hitch. The stands will be packed, the opening notes will echo through the venue, the panel will line the glass, and a fresh gold medalist will emerge. It just will not be Liu. The American lineup is bringing a totally different vibe this time around. You have got Amber Glenn stepping up as the most battle-tested veteran on the squad. She is coming off a jaw-dropping Olympic redemption arc that catapulted her from 13th overall all the way up to 5th. That type of grit is exactly what it takes to survive the pressure cooker of a world title fight. Isabel Levito is also lacing up, bringing that signature grace and flawless technique she has spent years cementing into her brand. Grabbing that final spot is Sarah Everhart, the backup, who practically overnight won the golden ticket of a lifetime. Getting that sudden heads up had to be totally mind-blowing. 1 second you are riding the bench, and in the blink of an eye, you are hitting the ice at Worlds. Things change that fast in this game. On the international front, the race for gold is blown wide open, with the reigning champ out of the mix. Experts are already crowning Japan's Kaori Sakamoto as the undeniable frontrunner in Prague. Her raw strength and rock-solid landings make her a lethal threat. Throw in some heavy hitters from Japan and South Korea, and you have got a total dogfight waiting to happen. Make no mistake, the fight for the podium is going to be absolutely brutal. But the entire vibe is shifting purely because the woman who rules the sport is going to be spectating from afar. Her missing the flight to Europe begs a massive question for the diehards. How do you even measure greatness for a generational talent like Alysa? Since the dawn of the sport, glory meant only 3 things: stacking hardware, collecting banners, and breaking scoreboards. Skating routinely glorifies the grinders who shatter their bodies just to make the next start time. Yet Liu broke that mold a long time ago, walking away at 16. had everyone convinced she was done for good. But that exit was actually the spark for a total reinvention. Showing up 2 years later, she played completely by her own rules and fell back in love with the ice. Then she casually climbed the ultimate mountain, taking home Olympic gold. Fast forward a few weeks, and she is dropping another bomb that has casuals scratching their heads. Bowing out of a title defense is a bold move, but if you connect the dots of her journey, the strategy is brilliantly obvious. She refuses to run the rat race anymore. She is fiercely guarding the peace she fought so hard to find after her initial burnout. It is all about holding on to her freedom and dictating her own terms, making sure she owns her sport instead of letting it own her. Looking at it through that lens, skipping the trip to Europe is far from a retreat. It might just be the ultimate flex, proving she is sticking to the exact mindset that resurrected her career in the first place. The old version of Alysa, the one who was crumbling under the pressure, would have bitten her tongue and suffered through the pain. Today's Alysa operates on a completely different level. She checked in with herself, hit the brakes, and rerouted the jet piece. We probably will not see her lace up again until the fall, when the 2026 season officially kicks into gear. Expect fresh choreography, newly defined targets, and maybe even the groundwork for another push toward the Winter Games. If that is the master plan, this March opt-out is not a surrender. It is just a deep breath before the next epic saga begins, because at the end of the day, a true champion's most defining calls are rarely made for the scorecards. They happen in the quiet moments, far from the cameras. Which brings me to you all. If you were wearing Alysa's skates, would you pull the plug to protect your peace? Or would you risk it all in Prague to defend your crown? Drop your hot takes down below. And hey, if you are hooked on the raw truth hidden behind the mainstream sports headlines, hit that subscribe button, because whether you are grinding on the ice or navigating the real world, the most legendary drama always goes down in the shadows.